Some of my earliest memories are on a diamond, more specifically a baseball diamond. Ever since I could remember, I've always had a mitten ball within arm's reach. I still remember the first time I went to the ball fields. It was during the summertime. My parents would take me to the fields to go watch my older brother play. I would sit on the bleachers cheering on my brother as the sun went down and the field lights began to turn on. I could still hear the faint buzzing the lights made. I always sat on the bleachers, mesmerized by the game going on in front of me. My eyes would jump back and forth around the field, trying to follow the ball and figure out what was happening. Ever since going to the fields and seeing the game, I was obsessed, and all I thought about was baseball. When I was 5 years old, my parents finally signed me up for t-ball, and from that day on, I lived and breathed baseball. Being only 5, I didn't really know much about the sport, but I was eager and couldn't wait to play and one day be on the same field I first watched my brother play on. I would spend my days watching old rerun Orioles games on TV to learn as much as I could, and amateurly try to imitate pitchers' windups and batters' stances. I spent countless hours in my backyard forcing either my brother or my dad to teach me how to play catch and hit. I remember every day patiently waiting, looking out my window, and hoping that the next car that came around the corner was either my dad's or my brother's bus so I could get back to playing. I didn't know much about the sport, but I knew there was something about it that caught me, and it was safe to say I was addicted. When my parents first signed me up to play baseball, I don't think I've ever been so excited yet so nervous in my life. I'd never played a game or been to a practice before, so I didn't have a single clue of what we would do or what to expect. All I knew was that I couldn't be any happier because I was finally going to play the sport I wondered so much about. I had such huge expectations for the game and for myself. I couldn't wait until I could finally get on the field and have the time of my life running the bases and playing the field. I hope one day I'd be able to do all of the things and be like the players I watched on TV and looked up to. But I knew if I wanted to be as good as those players were, I'd have a lot of hard work and practice ahead of me, but I was ready and more determined than I've ever been. Soon after I started playing baseball, I started going to games as well. I remember my dad taking me and my brother to Norfolk Tides games. I would always make him take us an hour early or so I could run around the park and get all the players' autographs. There's nothing quite like going to a baseball game. The voice of the announcers and vendors yelling, "Cold beer and peanuts," I can still hear today. Our local team's games were great, but there's nothing more memorable than my first Major League game. At my first Washington Nationals game, it felt like it was a whole nother sport with such a different atmosphere. I was shocked by the size of the stadium. Fans swarmed around dressed red and white, and the stadium's dark green grass was perfectly cut. It looked like it had never been played on before. It was unforgettable. Those family game day experiences further pushed my desire to play baseball. In the first year of t-ball, there was a lot to learn because it's everyone's first time playing, and it doesn't make it easier to teach them all because they're all 4 and 5 years old and don't have the longest attention span, including myself. In fact, a majority of our first t-ball games were 6 innings of confusion. After my first year, I got used to how the game worked and learned a lot. My second year of t-ball went a little smoother than the last, and I learned even more. After those 2 years of t-ball, I moved up a league to coach pitch. I was ecstatic because the game was evolving and becoming more challenging, and I knew I was a step closer to playing on the same field my brother once did. Coach pitch was more difficult than t-ball. It was closer to the actual game I'd watched on TV for years. There was another large learning curve when I moved into this league because the game got harder, but it made it more enjoyable and taught me a lot. After my 2 seasons in coach pitch, I moved up to Mustang. I had finally made it to the field I had once been to watch my brother play on, but I was on the other side of the fence this time. I was finally playing the game I had seen on TV, seeing real pitching, and couldn't have been happier. In Mustang, I got better and learned so much more about baseball. I was shocked when I was asked to join my local AAU team, the Wahoos. After joining the travel team, I started playing a lot more baseball. I had tournaments every weekend year-round and still played in my rec league. Playing for an AAU team was one of the best decisions because I was now living and breathing the sport I loved and was able to make so much friends and learn more than I ever thought I could from it. After 2 seasons in Mustang, I started playing baseball for my middle school and moved up another league to Bronco. Bronco was more difficult than the last league because everyone was learning more and progressing. I continued to play travel ball and school ball while playing in my rec league, and after my second season of Bronco, I had another experience I thought I'd never have. My AAU team and I went to Cooperstown. Cooperstown, New York is where the Baseball Hall of Fame is and the birthplace of baseball. It was one of the largest baseball tournaments in the country with over 100 teams from all across the nation. It was an unreal experience to be able to play at such an iconic place for baseball and against so many different teams. Soon after, I again moved up another league to Pony. I had moved on to a bigger and faster league than I once saw my brother at. I had a sense of fulfillment because I knew I surpassed my brother in our brotherly rivalry. I played another 2 seasons in Pony League while the pitching and game base got even faster. Right after those 2 seasons, I started playing baseball for my high school and continued playing and moved up to Palomino League. Again, with every step I made in my baseball career, the difficulty increased, but it drove me more and more to learn and grow into a player like those I had always watched. I I stopped playing baseball my junior year in high school after playing for 12 years. I played the game for almost 3/4 of my life, and sometimes I think about it and wish I was still playing. But I know that baseball not only made me into a great player, but it certainly helped make me into the person I am today. Every situation in baseball has taught me important lessons that I'll know I'll never forget and will pass on. From the beginning, it helped me develop drive by teaching me to always keep your eye on the ball and swing for the fences so I could one day be like my brother and the players I watched when I was younger. Because every league got harder, it always pushed me to try my best, because when you put forth your best effort, you'll get out what you put in. Baseball has also taught me that you can't do everything by yourself, that teamwork makes the dream work, and sometimes you have to sacrifice things for the betterment of yourself and others. I lived and breathed baseball. I've learned so much from this addiction, and I'll always be grateful to it.